This is Business Breakfast on iBrand Television. We'll get talking now. Let's take a quick look at what's playing out with Ramadan. Yeah, it's the Ramadan season. Today happens to be the 12th day of the Ramadan fast. Now, annually, Muslims faithful worldwide observe the only month of Ramadan, a time of fasting, reflection, and increased devotion. However, in Nigeria, the rising inflation is very disturbing and destabilizing. Nigerians no doubt grappling with an inflation crisis that has caused skyrocketing prices of essential goods and services. The cost of food in particular has surged, with staples like rice, beans and meat becoming increasingly burdensome for many households. This crisis has created a ripple effect, widening the gap between affordability and the Ramadan festivity. However, despite this economic hardship, Nigerians have not shied away from carrying out charitable acts intrinsic to Ramadan. Joining me now live virtually as we discuss and hope to navigate this Ramadan is Bello Hafiz Olalekan, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Register. Mr. Olalekan, good morning. Thank you for joining me on the program today.
Yeah, good morning. And I will say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all my Muslim brothers and sisters out there.
All right.
So I'm happy to be on this with you.
All
good
right.
morning.
Yes. Let's get talking now. What is Ramadan, and to you, what is the significance of Ramadan to Muslims, and how can those and who are those eligible to observe it?
Yeah, so Ramadan is actually kind of obligated or compulsory fasting, for Muslims, and it occurs during a period of time every year, and it's a holy month that is required of every Muslims, either a man or a woman, to observe. Yeah, so that's Ramadan, and it is made compulsory by the Almighty Allah, and also brought to us by the Prophet of Allah, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. However, so there are some certain conditions, that the Almighty Allah has given us, that if you are on these particular conditions, you are not. It's not compulsory for you to take the fasting. So there are some that you may have to maybe wait till when you are done with whatever conditions that you have as a then that makes you not to be able to take the fasting, so that you may have to wait for some times after then you take it back. And there are some that you are not allowed to go back to it to say you want to observe, Ramadan. So Ramadan is very important in the lives of Muslims. So the first is, personally, when it's time for Ramadan, it gives me so much joy that, during the course of the year, from January or whatever, maybe the past 9 to 10 months, 11 months, it happens that we are always very busy pursuing our serious endeavors that we really want to achieve different goals. Yes. When it comes to the time of Ramadan, everybody has to sit back and take a time again to be very close to Almighty Allah. This is a time for you to ask Almighty Allah for what you need, and then you kind of re-strategize about yourself. So Ramadan is very, very spiritual in terms of how it helps the Muslims, navigating their whole life. So this period. All
right, then. Thank you so much for that insight. Now, going by the current economic challenges occasioned by rising inflation, skyrocketing cost of living, how can people celebrate without breaking the band, as you know that Ramadan has to do with fine dining and the likes after the fasting period is over?
Yeah, so this particular question is actually very funny to me, because so Ramadan, everybody, because for over 6-8 hours, you are there abstained from eating or doing any sort of thing. So you would anticipate that when it's time for you to break, you would want to break, in a way that you enjoy yourself and keep prepared for the following day.
Yes.
But however, as much as excited as we are that Ramadan was coming, I remember, at the same time, even within my own family, we are looking at the cost of things outside there. It gets so very, very expensive, especially for food stuff.
Yes.
Very expensive. Is it right? Even to the level of fruits. I remember, just a few days ago, buying banana is something that I had to be considered. Does it worth it or not? So, as for me, the Muslims, so we just have to look at, we just have to balance whatever we have in our pockets, in our savings, or whatever that our income, can carry. That's the way we have to look at it. Yeah, Islam, and I think Ramadan in the first place has helped us to reduce our costs. Because breakfast might be there, but in terms of your lunch, then we have to reduce it. For me, even when I'm even breaking in the night, I try to take a little food that can also allow me to sit on the mat and pray to God. Because when you eat too heavily, then it becomes quite difficult for you to stand up to pray, at night. So I would say that Muslims should take the advantage of this time, to also learn how they endure hunger a little bit, and that would afford them the opportunity, to buy whatever they need to buy, even as expensive as things are today. So we just have to consider, okay, what's the level of our income, what's the level of what we have, to settle this. So I think that's what I will share, that we just have to endure, for this period, and considering the high cost of inflation that is outside now. So we should see even Ramadan as a blessing for us to even navigate through this challenging period.
All right then, quite insightful. Now, let's talk a bit about work-life balance. Okay, you did make mention of the fact that Ramadan, aside from devoting yourself to Almighty Allah and then setting yourself aside to fast, to seek His face on critical issues in your life. And let's talk about the work and life balance. You are a chief operating officer of one of the leading fintech company in Nigeria. You still also have, I remember we had the conversation yesterday and you said you have an appointment at 12 today again, but then you are mostly our Muslims brothers strike a work-life balance during this period of Ramadan. How best do you think that busy parents, busy businessmen and women and professionals can strike a work-life and family time during this Ramadan period?
Yeah, so usually for entrepreneurs, for professionals, so for me, even before the month of Ramadan, somehow we've managed, to skip some of our lunch already. And I'm sure a lot of people listening to this would agree with me. So Ramadan, so it's just a time for us. Ramadan for professionals, for me, I've not seen it like time for them to starve themselves, because already, we skip, most of our lunch, maybe just taking water. Maybe that's the only thing that we're going to be missing. So for professionals, so during the day, we are always very busy going to meetings. I can remember even before the Ramadan, somehow in the market, sometimes, going for different regulations and stuff like that. So before even the day could go without even taking water. So Ramadan is here. The only difference is just have to remember that we're in the month of Ramadan, that we need to get close to God. But those people that are not used to that, for me personally, I'm used to. That's not even taking my lunch, and before maybe I'm getting home by 6, 7, 8, 9. That's when I remember I want to take something. But for some people, it's not the same. So, however, I would advise that this period, what they should do more is that they should be very careful. Because I have some friends, because they are not used to Ramadan. Like 2 days, somebody was sharing with me that she has forgotten while in the office. He took water. Forgetting that it's already passing. So we just have to be conscious, of the month of Ramadan that we are. So I would say that it's not a big deal as professionals, navigating and the balancing, the kind of the month of Ramadan also we work life. So it's not something that is that difficult as professionals. So it's what we've been doing already. What we just have to do is to be more careful at what we look at what the kind of acts that we do. Some people, they talk and they play just anyhow, not minding. Ramadan is actually around. So in the month of Ramadan, they just have to be more extra careful in the way they talk, in the way they dress, in what they look, and many other things like that. And also what they want to eat, so that could keep them fit, throughout the month of Ramadan, because you need extra effort. This time you're not taking water during the day, and you are doing a lot. So I think what you just have to do is be very conscious that this is the month of Ramadan. You watch what you eat, what you do, what you say, and what you look at. And then, so I think with that, so everything's gonna be smooth. And before the next 30 days are already over.
All right then. Now while we're trying to wind down this conversation, I'd like to get your thoughts on this. You will agree with me that after the fast comes the Eid. How would you advise our Muslim brothers and sisters to celebrate the Eid, especially at a time when things are not so rosy in the country at the moment? You also did mention of the fact that the cost of food commodities on the eyesight, even the cost of clothing also is also on the high side, and a special occasion like this, we see the prices of commodities also skyrocketing. So how would you advise our Muslim brothers to celebrate the Eid after this holy month of Ramadan?
Yeah, so thank you so much. First of all, I think I'm going to present this in two ways. So first of all is, unto ourselves, we need to celebrate this time with our loved ones.
Yeah.
No matter what you are going through at this time, when you're in the midst of your loved ones, so that seems to be subdue whatever the challenges you are going through. So let's ensure that we celebrate with our loved ones, whether inviting them or going to visit them, as the case may be. So that's the first. And the second is Almighty Allah has also made given us a lot of warnings about how people spend extravagantly for what they cannot afford. No, we shouldn't allow that to happen to us. So what we should do is we should spend within our means. Yes. So and Almighty Allah would always, the God will never leave you. After the whole 30 days, not to have provided for you what is enough for you to break through. So what I would say is we should also live within our means. And finally, there are in the midst of us some that are even more comfortable, some that earn more in terms of maybe salaries. They have more money with them, to celebrate, access to celebrate. So what they should do is they should remember people that are struggling in the streets. They should remember people that have not been able to eat. They should remember people who cannot afford to buy clothes at that time. So whatever they have at this time, they should remember them in form of their zakat. So give them food to eat, celebrate with them as well. You can leave your home, your family, then go to the streets, see people that are struggling. This is the time for you to give back to the society. After long 30 days that you've prayed to God. So it's as part of the conditions, being a Muslim is also that if you have, you must give. So go outside there, celebrate with people who don't have, gift them, items, give them money or whatever you think will make them happy at that time. So it's better, it's good for us, to share with our loved ones, at the same time share with people who don't have. So that's the ways that I'm going to be encouraging my Muslim brothers and sisters out there to celebrate their Eid.
All right, we'll just leave the conversation at this point. I'd like to say big thank you to you, Bello Afeez Olalekan, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Register. Thank you so much for your time with me on the show, and also the insight you've given our brothers and sisters, our Muslim brothers and sisters who are fasting at this time. And we hope that the Almighty Allah give them the strength to continue with their fast, and at the end of it all, it brings about the needed results that we are all hoping and believing for ourselves and our nation at large. Thank you so much for your time with me on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's my pleasure being here always, and I look forward to another session with you.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. Have a wonderful day.
To my Muslim brothers and sisters out there. And so I pray that may Almighty Allah reward us, with every little thing that we are putting into this Ramadan.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now let's shift focus now to the economy. So much to talk about the economy. We'll be diving into that in a moment. Do stay with us. It's Business Breakfast on iBrandTV.